amazing.
How amazing.
It never gets old, does it?
No, are you kidding? It never gets old. I mean, look at the love I'm surrounded with. This is the support that makes me go to work every day. This is the support that makes me fight my battles and, feel like I'm not alone, and it never gets old. This is what I work for, so.
So, Priyanka, I have to start with something that you said, which I loved.
What did I say now?
Now
what?
It's always, ab maine kya keh diya?
Ab maine kya keh diya, yaar.
No, you said that good girls don't make history, bold girls make history. You've been a bold girl for as long as I can remember.
Right.
This year is the 20th year of you in Hindi cinema. Hero, the Love Story of a Spy, released in 2003. I remember our first interview, which was like 2 years after that. I was talking to you for a story I was doing for the New York Times about how Hindi film heroines were actually now becoming bad on screen. They were no longer these
when I did Aitraz.
When you did Aitraz and you played this sexual predator, and I remember speaking to you about it, which was 15 years ago. You were bold then, you are bold now. What does it take to be a consistent disruptor?
I think I was very lucky to have an upbringing where my parents gave me a sense of self, where I was given the ability to make my own choices. I think a lot of girls, especially in our country and many others, their ability to make choices is taken away from them. So I think it's very important for us to raise bold girls, for us to raise girls that push the envelope, for us to invest in the girls in our communities, in our countries, because once a girl stands on her own feet, she not just takes her family forward, she takes her community forward, which in part takes the country forward. Women are 50% of the world's population, and we have always had to take a step behind. And I think it is imperative, our prerogative, and our responsibility, men, women alike, parents, grandparents, and as communities and societies, to empower our children, our girls. And I am a result of a family that empowered me. From I was 4 years old, my father encouraged opinions where I used to sit with, my parents' friends, and my dad comes from a, middle-class background, so does my mom, Ambala, conservative background. But he always asked for my opinion, and not in a flippant way, ki, "Achha, let's see what a 4-year-old has to say," but in a serious way. And that always made me feel like I'm important. And I told this story actually, I think I told it in my book, but it was really interesting. In military houses, they have nameplates outside your barracks where it says who is staying here. So my father was a major back then, and my mother was a captain. So the nameplate said Major Ashok Kumar Chopra and the captain Madhu Chopra. So I looked at it when it was being installed and it was hammered into our house, and I asked my father, I must have been in kindergarten, I think that time. So KG mein baith ke, I asked my father, I said, do I live in this house? And he said, yes, you do. So I said, then why is my name not up there? And my dad changed the nameplate. And it said Priyanka Mimi Chopra KGB, which was kindergarten B. That is what I mean. Giving me a sense of self, not making fun of me, not saying, "Dekha isne kya bola tha, see how funny that was." It was not funny. It came from a serious place for me, even at 5. And it was taken seriously by my parents. So that's what I mean. I think it is really, and as a new parent myself, and as many of you may be, and aspiring to be, I think it's very important for this generation to invest in our girls. It's so important.
I think you've redefined that word bold.
In a good way?
In a good way. पहले कहते थे अरे बड़ी bold है.
बड़ी bold है. वो मुझे वो भी कहा था, don't worry. बड़ी bold है ये. I converted it into being a good thing.
Absolutely. So Priyanka, you are now headlining Citadel, first Indian actor to headline a global spy series. Okay? Yes. Here's the thing, okay? So this series, guys, costs $200 million, which Google tells me is upward of 1,600 crores. I can't even figure that one out.
मुझे तो maths नहीं आते. I can't convert between rupees and dollars.
खैर, बहुत पैसे हैं, बहुत पैसे हैं.
It's above my pay grade.
But Priyanka, Priyanka, this is such a massive achievement. What do you want it to do for yourself, but also for other actors?
You know, it's my 10th year. 10th year, I think, 2013, that I actually started looking for work in Hollywood. And after 10 years, you're seeing me do a show like this. So it takes a lot of perseverance, especially for immigrant actors that try to come into Hollywood and create a space for themselves, whether that's Indian or from any other country. Because when I started working, especially when you think about South Asians, I mean, there were like 4 or 5 in the room, and we all knew each other. And now, you know, the quest for all of us, and that could be Mindy, Aziz, me, Carl Penn, like, you know, few actors, was always to open the door and make more space for more like us. And when I started, when I got initial pushback in Hollywood, when I was, you know, looking for the kind of work that I was used to, and I'm not afraid of hard work. I made my show reel. I walked in to meet, you know, producers, filmmakers. I showed them the work that I had done in India. I'm not someone who walks around with the ego. I believe in hard work, and I think only your work can speak for itself. So I used to walk in, I took meetings, I did auditions, and I got smaller roles, and I made them bigger and bigger and bigger, and slowly it took time to be able to get to this place. So I think that now that I feel like I have, you know, my feet on solid ground. For the last 4 or 5 years, it really has been my quest to be able to create a lot more space for not just me, but people like me, actors, you know, writers, directors, women behind the camera, in front of the camera. I have a first look deal with Amazon Prime, in which I'm producing a lot of TV and film for them, and most of them are hyper-specific stories about South Asia.